Imagine playing Cyberpunk 2077 super smoothly without it turning into a hot brick. Sounds impossible, right? Well, this is the Lenovo Legion Go S, and it might just do that, but how well does it perform? Well, let's break it down into 5 key areas to find out if this is a go or a no-go. Now, gaming handhelds should feel comfortable in your hands, especially for long hours of gameplay, right? Well, this design solves that problem. Now, besides the sleek and the modern look, it feels good in the hands. So if you're someone who likes to game on the go, you'll appreciate the overall weight, the ergonomics with the anti-slip grip as well. And yes, based on my test, this is surely more comfortable than the original Legion Go. Now, speaking of which, this is a fully unified body, so there's no detachable controls, but this entire body comes at only 730 grams. So it is lightweight, but it does feel very solid. So this means there's no hand cramp for playing long periods, and of course, there's no awkward grips as well, just smooth gaming experience during my whole entire use. Now, this is because the curved grips at the back and the rounded corners are really designed for long sessions without any discomfort. And this is thanks to the recessed areas that really rest your middle fingers, where you can easily reach the trigger buttons as well. Plus, it looks very premium with this awesome matte white finish, where Lenovo officially calls this the Glacier White. That doesn't attract any fingerprints since it has a matte finish. And of course, you know me, I just love white color tech, so that was an extra bonus for me. Because as soon as I pulled this out from the box, I immediately fell in love with the overall finish of this gaming handheld. Now, if you ever dealt with joystick drift, well, you know how annoying that can be, right? That's why Lenovo used the Hall effect joysticks. Now, in case you did not know what that means, the Hall effect sensors in joysticks measure the position of the stick using magnetic fields rather than physical contact. So that contactless design eliminates wear and tear, resulting in a longer lifespan and of course improved accuracy. And this has been tested thoroughly compared to the traditional joysticks. Plus, there's also RGB lighting, because let's be real, gaming without RGB doesn't hit the same. Then the D-pad over here is a bit more of a dish style, so that didn't give me that wow effect at first, because my initial impression is that this wouldn't feel very nice to play fighting games on, but I was immediately proved wrong because it did indeed felt really nice on this particular D-pad as well. But you know what? Lenovo didn't just stop there, because they also have these very nice adjustable triggers where there's a nice little switch at the back where you can choose between the hair trigger style, which is perfect for FPS games, but once you flip it back down, you get a full linear trigger, which is great for racing type of games. So this is all depending on your preference, of course. So you're already getting a design that solves all the common gaming problems. Then you get the Xbox styles of the buttons, so if you're familiar with it, you can easily slide well into this. There's also even a small touch trackpad for a mouse style of navigation right underneath the right joystick. Now, this also performed way beyond my expectations as well, because I thought that this is gonna be worse since the original Legion Go was way much bigger compared to this smaller size one. While this is definitely smaller, but don't be discouraged by its smaller size, as navigating on this was way easier than it looks. Now, I did see some online comments about how people wish that it was the red trackpad, you know, that nipple. But honestly, I think that would kill the overall aesthetics, so I do appreciate Lenovo's decision over here. However, it would have been cool if this small D-pad was a fingerprint sensor to unlock the device, right? Then I've also included 2 additional function buttons, which is above the start and the screenshot buttons. Now, on the port side of things, you get 2 USB-C ports for charging and also data transfer on top, where you can go up to 40 Gbps support. That also supports DisplayPort 1.3 technology. Then there's the headphones jack, which is also the mic combo jack, so that is nice to know that Lenovo still cares about wired audio. And then there's also the 2 front-facing speakers in front, which makes it better to play without headphones, something that I've always preferred compared to wearing headphones all the time in a game. But of course, more on the speakers performance later on in this video. Then next to the headphones jack, there is the volume controls, and of course the nice and the glowing power button. Now, what's extra sweet is that at the bottom, there's also a micro SD card slot for expandable storage, so you can easily add more storage, up to 1 TB to be exact. Finally, there's also tons of vents all around the device, not only on top but also at the back of the device too, perfect for extended periods of gaming, but of course more on my gaming test later on in this video. Then these two buttons at the back is called the macro buttons, and this could be programmed in software to whatever you like. So yeah, it's like Lenovo looked at every gamer's wish list and said, your wish is my command. So obviously the screen is one of the most important parts of any handheld gaming device, and if you probably couldn't guess, this is an 8-inch WUXGA IPS panel which has a resolution of 1920 by 1200p and a 16 by 10 aspect ratio which has a 10-point touch and up to 500 nits of brightness. But what's even better is the fact that this is also a 120Hz refresh rate with VRR or variable refresh rate support. So yes, because VRR support at this point in time is very important for a gaming centric device. Now my first impressions, and still is my impressions of this particular screen, is the fact that it is nice and sharp. It has never strained my eyes to look at even in long periods. So whether or not you're into fast-paced FPS games or slow-paced RPGs, you're gonna have an ultra smooth motion with no skin tearing at all. Now performance-wise, Lenovo has included the AMD Ryzen Z2 Go processor which has been built specifically for this gaming handheld. Now just so you know that this AMD Ryzen Z2 is a new line of APUs which was also unveiled at CES earlier this year that has been designed and made exclusively for handhelds like this. Then on top of that, the Z2 chips provide much better performance than the previous Z1 series chips, and while it comes with 32GB of LPDDR5X RAM and 1TB of PCIe SSD storage, I went with the base 16GB of RAM and 512GB of storage just to see how this baseline version performs. Then connectivity wise, it supports Wi-Fi 6E, which means faster and more stable and reliable connection as well. And of course, this could be really felt if you have a compatible router. It also has Bluetooth 5.3, so pairing your wireless controllers or headphones or even keyboard or mice is definitely easy and seamless as well without any connection issues based on my usual test. Now for the gaming performance, I tested several games on this, ranging from demanding AAA games to lighter indie games just to see where this handheld stands. Now first up, on Cyberpunk 2077, I managed to pull on average 25 to 30 FPS when set at 1200p and around 40 FPS when set to 1000p. And all of this was done while played with the in-game Steam Deck preset graphic settings. Then as for Red Dead Redemption 2, the game managed to output a respectable 35 to 40 FPS on average. I also tried the brand new Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, which ran at 35 to 40 FPS and had the lowest graphic settings at 1080p resolution. Then as for the lighter or the easier games, I started with Persona 3 Reload, which managed to get about 40 to 60 FPS in high settings at 1200p, but I had to cap the game at 60 FPS in order to get a better frame rate count. Next, moving on to one of the fan favorite indie games, which is Hades, that ran flawlessly at 120 FPS at 1200p. So yes, overall I was really impressed by the gaming performance, but also the amazing display, because it really gave an amazing experience. It was very nice and bright with deep colors and punchy visuals as well. Because honestly, the display was so good that I had to double check the specs to make sure that I wasn't playing on an OLED panel. Seriously, I'm not joking. But what's even more immersive was my experience using the second generation Lenovo Legion glasses. Now I can't wear it right now, otherwise I can't see what I'm looking right now in the camera, but I'll show you a B-roll instead, where my experience using this particular second generation Lenovo Legion glasses was really amazing, because I can plug it straight into the Lenovo Legion Go S via the included USB cable, where I had a nice big screen directly in front of me, where the color accuracy is amazing at 98% DCI P3 color gamut. It is also very light as well, where it had one of the best screen size to sharpness balance. The speakers were not too loud, which is good because you don't have to disturb someone next to you. And the brightness also was really amazing too, with up to 800 nits of brightness, where it also had a high refresh rate of 120 Hz. Now seriously, this is something that you definitely need to try to really experience it, as it is a total game changer, pun intended. Now going back into the device, what is not very satisfying is the two front firing speakers, because the overall volume was quite soft if you are expecting a very loud speaker where it also lacks some bass or depth. But this is only very noticeable if you're entering a moderately noisy room or outdoors, or if you're here in the studio or in any environment where it is totally quiet, then I think it's fine. But I feel overall headphones will be your best friend here to have that proper immersive gaming experience. Now, if you guys are enjoying this gaming review video so far, do give this video a nice big thumbs up to tell YouTube that this video was okay. And a subscription will be lovely too, as we are on the way towards 200,000 subscribers here. So thank you, and thank you very much in advance. So the Lenovo Legion Go S runs on Windows 11 Home. So this means that this can do pretty much everything that a Windows laptop can do. So you can install anything or everything like Microsoft Excel. Now Lenovo has also included a software suite called the Legion Space. You can use this to monitor the device stats, customize settings and toggle between performance or the power saving modes easily. And you can also bring this Legion Space to bring together and combine with all of your various gaming launches into one space for a quick access to. But that's just not it, because Lenovo has also included an extra goodie of 3 months of PC Game Pass, where you can immediately start playing games as soon as you get to set this device up, with all of the games on PC Game Pass as well. Then accessing Lenovo's software is also pretty easy with the 2 dedicated function buttons on both sides of the screen, as mentioned, where you can access the Legion Space through the top left button here. Then from there you can also cycle through your games library and also access the settings and more. You also have quicker access for the handheld settings with the top right button over here. Then from here you can customize the handheld's performance and the thermal settings, where you can also change the screen resolution, the refresh rate, and have access to many system quick settings. Now honestly, this really sets Lenovo apart, because I really love what they have done with their software over here. Very clean and easy to use. Clearly it has been developed with gamers in mind. Now let's talk about the battery life, because you don't want to cut your gaming sessions short, right? Well, it comes with a 55.5 watt-hour battery, which will give you about 5 hours of gaming off and on. Now so far I managed to play a lot, and I got around 2.5 hours of continuous gameplay, which might seem less, but honestly, even with other gaming PC handhelds, the time I got was actually pretty standard, and that is all good in my books. But of course, if you need to charge this, it's about 65 watts of fast charging, so you can always juice this up quickly and get back into gaming in no time. Now, there's also a battery saver mode that reduces the performances slightly, but it does significantly increases the battery life as well. But of course, when you have that mode on, you'll have to sacrifice the frames. So keep in mind if you switch into this particular mode. Because just so you know that less heavier games like Hades did run very well on this particular mode, but heavier games like Cyberpunk 2077 or even EA Sports FC 24 really did slow down. So it's safe to say that the experience wasn't the greatest on this particular battery saving mode, especially for a heavier gameplay. Now, by the way, if you want a written recap of everything mentioned in this particular video, well, we do have one at our website at www.adamlobo.tv, where we also have some daily tech news over there too. So links to the website will be down below. So is this a go or a no-go? Well, with a retail price starting at 3,299 ringgit, which is around 732 USD, this Lenovo Legion Go S is a powerful, portable, and a very versatile gaming device, which is of course built to deliver a very exceptional handheld gaming experience while offering performance that can even rival gaming laptops in some cases. So if you're serious about handheld gaming, this Lenovo Legion Go S is definitely a go.